Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Charlie. Today, as you can see, we are somewhere else, not in the usual setup. This is my living room bookcase, which I want to go through with you and look at all the books. I have 3 shelves like this, and so let's see how far we can go today. Unfortunately though, right there on the left hand side is a very, very busy road. So let's see how far we can get. I may have to stop the recording a little bit because it can get very noisy. Anyway, my bookshelf is at the moment coordinated by colour, not by any other subject or genre. No, it's literally by colour. So here on the top bookshelf we have a puzzle book, which is very old. I wonder if I can even see how old it is. I'm sure there must be a date on it somewhere, but I can't see it right now. But it's more than 10 years old. I really love code words, so I keep it for the code words. Here you go, here's one. And every so often it comes out. But I tend to just keep the small little booklets of code words out for me to do. Anyway, so that's there. Then we have Conversations from a Long Marriage, and this is Joanna Lumley's marriage. This book was written by Jan Etherington, and I picked this up. I think it was a recommendation somewhere, I can't remember where, and I started to read it, and I didn't love it, so it went back on the bookshelf. This is a book of unsolved crimes. I love this book, and I've gone back to it many times because it has lots of different stories, and so they are easy reads. So it's not the whole book, there's a few pages to each story. And I've really enjoyed this book, and I have gone back and read the same stories more than once, so this is a keeper. Then we have a couple of Sally Rooney books. I love Sally Rooney. She's one of my favourite authors. I think this book actually I'm going to donate. I really didn't love the book. It's basically just their conversations. And I think the lady who wrote the book thought it was probably funny. And I think about one chapter's funny for me personally, but then I kind of had enough of it. So the Sally Rooney books are books I had already read, but I wanted my own copy. So I found them and I will keep those. I think everyone knows I live in England, so I think this is an amazing book to pick up every so often when we fancy doing something a bit different. It's a great book for tips. Unusual Guide to London. Healing Crystals book is a book I've shown you before in other videos. I think Rachel, you're the only one who said you would like me to do a video on this book. So thank you so much for saying that you would love me to read from it. I appreciate that so much. If anyone else would be interested in my doing a video on these healing crystals from the book, please let me know. I really love this book, and I used to have a very old copy, and it was so old that it was in pieces, and I decided I would find a new copy because I just love this story so much, and so that's why I have a newer copy now. It's in better condition. Michael Savage, Social Class in the 21st Century. You have seen me talking about this book before. The Little Book of Hygge. You have seen me talking about this book as well. The Pocket Guide to Vitamins. That one I haven't shown. In the Garden. These are essays on nature and growing. Jeanette Winterson. Why be happy when you can be normal? These are mostly all books I've already mentioned to you before. This one here is not The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. That is a book, much like my Sally Rooney books, that I just want to have a copy of because it's a very special book. The Ruby Wax book, Gretchen Rubin book. I have some other Gretchen Rubin somewhere. And then Word Perfect. I love Susie Dent books. I have another Susie Dent book. We'll get to it a bit later, so we might put those two together. This Edward Hume's book. The Forever Witness. This is a book that I had in my wish list for the longest time. And it says down here, How DNA and Genealogy Solved a Cold Case Double Murder. So this book is a book that I really wanted. And then when I started to read it, I really don't like how Edward Humes writes. He tends to extend his writing in such a way that he could have said what he's saying in a page instead of extending it to 3. And so I really struggled to read the book. But it was a gift, and so for now I'm going to keep it, and I hope to be able to get back to it. So it's just going to say that for the time being. This next book is Collecting Conversations. I love books of essays, and this is sort of that. It's a collection of essays. It's very unusual. It says it's 100 women that share their everyday thoughts, and so Sam Bunch asks other women the same questions, and she goes to different age groups and asks the same questions. Just trying to see if there's a page where it tells you what the questions are. Here we go, the questions. How are you? Question 1. The 30s, 40s, look all the way up to the 80s. How do you see yourself? Question 3. How do you think other people see you? What do you think about marriage? And different age groups answer these questions. What do you think about children? Where does all your energy go, and so forth. So I thought that was a really interesting book. And again, it's a book that you can dip into, read a little, come back to it. I love that. I love that about this book, and so different to some of the other books that I've read. This is a Gustav Klimt book. Klimt is my favourite artist of all time. I just absolutely love his paintings. I love how amazingly he painted. Here is parts of the Tree of Life. I wonder if here we go, there's another part of the Tree of Life. Yeah, so that's another book that I will always want to keep, because ever since I was a teenager I've always been in love with his artwork. This was a book that someone was getting rid of, and I said I'd take it because it's a very well-known book. It's just lots of stories about kindness. But I think I'm ready to let this one go, so it will go in the donation pile. So far, 2 books. This book I think I've also already told you about in a previous book video. So I'm going to move the camera down so we can see the second bookshelf. Okay, here we are again, and we are now on the second bookshelf. So we have another Gretchen Rubin book. I have one here and the other one here. I love my Gretchen Rubin books. This is a Joanna Trollope, which I have already told you about, called Mum and Dad. I'm ready to give this one up. It was one of those good, quick reads, but it can join the goodbye pile. Then I have Big Swiss, which I really picked up because a lot of people said it was such a great book, and I got suckered into getting it. But people were saying things like that it was an incredible book, they couldn't put it down. I didn't feel that way about this book. It was nice, it was a nice read, but I kind of spent the entire time wondering why people made such a big fuss about it. So I did read it, but it's not really a book that I was really that taken with. So I might find someone to give this to. Glad I read it, but for me it's not a keeper. So then we have A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, all about creating a better life, how to look at life and how to live your best life. And this is definitely a book I want to keep. He also wrote The Power of Now, so that one is going to stay. This book I just came across one day. One day I was out in London. We're going back a few years now. We'll just see if I can see what year it was published. I have talked about this book before. In fact, I've read chapters from this book on the channel. 2011, 2012. So, yeah, I've had this book for some years. I suspect there are more books written by Craig Taylor by now. I have to look him up. I loved this book all about London. Of course, I love the colourful cover. It's very eye-catching. So I'm definitely keeping that. And it's a reminder to go look him up now. This is a fantastic book. This is a book that came up on Google Reads when, or even in reading book forums. There's so many different groups on Facebook and stuff like that where people are looking to self-help, and it just got repeatedly recommended, so I went and got it, and oh my goodness, do I love this book. It's very tough to read. It's kind of like textbook. It's not easy to just pick up and read. You've got to really sit down and read it slowly and carefully and take in what the author is saying. But I absolutely love it. Found it a fascinating read. Then we have Cheryl Strayed, Tiny Beautiful Things. Again, hugely talked about. And so I got it because I thought that it was going to be such an amazing book, and it's okay, it's all right, but it's not one that I feel that I need to keep on my shelf. So I will give this to either friends or my local second-hand bookshop. Here's another Gretchen Rubin. So we have 1, 2 and 3. I think I might have 3 or 4 Gretchen Rubins. Happier at Home. And as I've said previously, I just love Gretchen Rubin. I love her writing. I love how easy her writing is to read. I talked about this one in a previous book haul. I loved this book, really enjoyed it. It was fun to read. It was, I would say, 85% really good and a little percent less so. But again, finished reading that and that can go. This one I picked up in a charity shop. Crime Stories in Law, Murder and the Biography. I think I picked this up for maybe £1, and I tried to read it, but I found it a bit boring to read. It is true life or based on it, so I'm going to donate this because I didn't really get into it. This one I've just been given, and I want to make a collection of Bill Bryson's because I love everything he writes. Tom Hanks' Uncommon Type is a book that I started to read. I must get back into it. And this one, I think that's my absolute latest buy. It's based on real life. The Endless Country, Sammy Kent. I need to pick this one up, and I will let you know what I think of it. Published this year. Alice Munro, Dear Life. This, as you can see on the cover, says it's a winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. It was a winner of the Man Booker International Prize. I'm yet to read it, so it has different reviews. I mean, it won quite big awards, but there are other people who say they didn't think much of it, so I'm that fascinated and want to see what my opinion is of it. So it's there to be read. This is a book that was given to me by my niece, who I love beyond words. And therefore this book will be with me forever because it was given to me by my niece, who I love. That just remains on my shelf. That is David Hockney's Dog Days, given to me by my mum, who knows how nutty I am about Daxies, which is why the channel is called Wired Dax, because I love sausage dogs. He had his own dogs, so he just kept on drawing and painting them. Hopefully you can see. So yes, that's another book that was bought for me by someone very special to me. And this was another book given to me by someone who's very dear to me. I am not the biggest Stephen King book especially not a book this thick. But I don't know, does anyone else have books and objects and things that are given to them and you can't get rid of them because people who really care about you have given them to you, and you're like, well, I have to keep it because I care about them too. I do have quite a few of those books. Half of a Yellow Sun. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is an author who I love, but I particularly became aware of her from university. And so if I see a book of hers, I'm immediately drawn to it. We did have to do quite a lot of work on one of her short stories, and so I am very drawn to her because of it. It's a reminder of one of my modules at university. So I have not read this, but I will get to it. Then we have an E.M. Delafield, Diary of a Provincial Lady, a modern classic. I'm going to move you up. Okay, so we are here. I am sorry for the camera angle. I think it looks a bit funny, but it's the best I can do because about the same amount of bookshelf is empty. So trying to get you as close as I can to the books. So these are books that are basically new ones, old second-hand books, but new to me. Some of them have just been given to me from family and friends in the summer, and some of them I have picked up. So, for example, this one is from Portugal because I want to have some Portuguese books, but it's actually a Julia Glass. It's just been translated into Portuguese. Pelo Mundo Fora. I can't remember now what the story is about. If you're interested in my telling you what they're about, let me know in the comments section and I will read them and do a review on them. This one is definitely Portuguese. It's written by a guy called Pedro Chagas Freitas. Pedro is Peter, and it's Prometo Perder, so I promise to lose. And let me see, are there any others? Yes. A Ilha do Açúcar, so the Sugar Island by Yvonne Lemazach. And did I see another one? This one is Daniel Sampaio, and it says Labirinto de Negócios. So we'll see how I do with my Portuguese reading. I'd really like more Portuguese books on my bookshelves. Is this one? Oh yeah, this one's also been translated into Portuguese. It's a Michael Neal book, and it's got a quote by Paul McKenna in Portuguese saying, "O melhor coach de sucesso da atualidade," so the best coach. And it's called Super Coach. 10 segredos que podem transformar a sua vida. 10 secrets that can transform your life. I don't know how much of that I'm going to be reading, but I just grabbed it because some of these books came from, I'll just turn the camera. There we go. You can see them there next to the speaker. So I picked up some of these books from different bookshops, and there is a GB store that I go to because sometimes I run out of English tea and I need my tea. And at the GB store in Portugal, they have this whole area that's basically like a little library, but you can just pick up as many books as you like and just take them. And if you have English books or other languages as well and you want to just donate them, you can. There's no money involved, it's just you can take whatever you like. So I took a few, but I also picked up a few of them from proper bookshops as second-hand books. So those were my Portuguese books, and then the rest are just sort of random ones that I've picked up. Here's that Susie Dent. So I have another one, Susie Dent, just here on the side. So I've got Word Perfect, and this one here, Susie Dent, Roots of Happiness. Roots of Happiness. I think this is one of her latest books. It's so beautiful. And so this is a book that I think I'd quite like to do on the channel. Let me know if you're interested. And then this is Mindfulness. Can you see that? Maybe like that's better. Finding Peace in a Frantic World. I'd love to find some peace in our frantic world, so that book really called to me. Then we have a very old book. This one I picked up at the GB store in Portugal, On Life, Death and Breakfast by Tony Parsons. So that sounds like it's going to be a fun book to read. I've read some of his books in the past and he's always very funny. This is a YA book, Tender Earth. Something to do with politics and stuff. So Bel Canto by Anne Patchett. This was my mum who really encouraged me to pick up this book. She says it's one of the best books she's ever read. She loves it. And another YA book, The Black Flamingo by Dean Atter. So that's that shelf. And then I have a bunch of random books on the shelf below. So I have Elena Ferrante, The Days of Abandonment. I can't tell you a lot about these books because I haven't read them yet. Oh look, another one of my Stephen King books. So we can put this one down here. Whoops. See if I can find the Stephen King book. Here we go. It can go with its friend. So then we have a Mavis Cheek book, Three Men on a Plane. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which has become widely spoken of. I'm dying to read it to see what the fuss is all about. Kate Grenville, The Idea of Perfection. And Martin Amis, Experience. And last but not least, Sapiens, History of Humankind. And so those are my current books. I look forward to hearing what your favourite books have been. Any recommendations, just leave me a comment below the video. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very, very soon.